Hello, everyone. This is Rob, and welcome back to Media Awareness. And Happy New Year, everyone. It is New Year's Eve, and you know what that means. It is the top 10 Media Awareness countdown of the best albums of the year 2023 here on Media Awareness in the Media Awareness Humble Opinion. So, with that stated, first off, I do want to remind you all that the fundraiser continues. And for those of you unaware, I am a disabled individual and I use a motorized wheelchair slash scooter all day, every day to maintain my independence. Without my scooter, I am a fish out of water. I'm unable to walk entirely, and I don't have a backup wheelchair in the event my scooter fails, as I'm unable to use a backup wheelchair. I only have use of one hand primarily, so I am limited in what I am able to utilize, and that is the current scooter I have. My insurance will not cover anything with regard to my scooter. They view it as a luxury item. Therefore, I'm reaching out to you, my YouTube community, for your help. There is a Spot Fund account linked below this video, and you can easily contribute there. It only takes a few seconds, and it really, really is helping to have backup parts on hand so that when these parts fail, I can replace them immediately. And I do want to extend a warm and gracious thanks to those recent contributors. You guys really made me cry. It was just so sweet and just so heartfelt, and to know that people care as much as they do. Thank you so much. And also, I want to extend a thanks to those who plan on contributing, as you all are wonderful people, and I love you all. Thank you so much. So, the top 10 of 2023. Looking back to 2022, it's amazing that I've been um, really active with this channel now for, you know, 2 years. And I am excited to really be bringing this to you and to really be a voice out there to give you guys maybe a new perspective and a new uh, band or new musician or film or whatever it is I'm covering. Something you haven't heard before, or perhaps a different take on something that you have heard before. Something that you maybe didn't think about. So it really pleases me to be able to be that person in your lives. And it's an honor and a privilege. Um, so, before I continue rambling on, I do want to highlight two albums that came out in 2022. And they were albums that that I reviewed, and they were on last year's countdown. I reviewed the one, and I had the other one on the countdown. I may not have reviewed it though in hindsight. I don't remember, but it deserves to be mentioned because these two albums have moved up considerably in terms of me viewing them in a higher regard than previously, and also they really, really resonate with me now more than ever. And those two albums are Lonely Robot, A Model Life. Of course, Lonely Robot is the brainchild of genius multi instrumentalist, singer songwriter, vocalist John Mitchell. And this album is just perfection. And I didn't realize how much perfection it really was until really diving into it over the past year. and I wish that I would have had more of a chance to really absorb it in 2022 because it would have ranked a lot higher on last year's list of the top 10. But it was on the top 10 nonetheless, and it should be a lot higher, though. It really should. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, check out Lonely Robot: A Model Life, and it is available on Spotify to stream. But I would urge you all to get a physical copy. It's definitely worth having in your collection. The second highlight of last year's list is Porcupine Tree, and the album is Closure slash Continuation. And this was an album that was highly anticipated, and it was an album that it took time to grow on me. And now that it has had considerable time to grow on me, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I really think that it deserves a lot more attention than it received. It did garner the band a lot of success, and it really kind of catapulted them into another stratosphere, along with their back catalog and extended hiatus leading up to the new album. But 2022's Closure slash Continuation is a work of art, and you all need to check this out. Porcupine Tree. Alright, so now on to 2023 because that's where we are right now, at least on the tail end. Only a few more hours to go, and we will be at the end of this year. So I wanted to start somewhat earlier and give you guys a more of a jump on this countdown than I did last year. So let us start out with a few honorable mentions that did not quite make the top 10, but I feel that they are worthy of mentioning nonetheless and worthy of your time to check out. So, as you can tell, my face has gotten brighter, and you know what that means. It means I have my cheat sheet pulled up on my screen so that way I can go in a more cohesive manner and not be fumbling for what's next on the list. So, honorable mentions, and these are in order as well. So we're going from uh, least to most significant, in my opinion. And unfortunately, at the top of this list, like I said, I do recommend these, but at the top of this list, we have Neil Morris, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1. And this was a new Neil Morris album. It came out in, I want to say, the fall, late summer or fall of 2023. And it is a great concept album. And it is classified as Christian progressive rock. And it is really a solid album, but it just fell short of making the top 10, regardless of your belief system. Neil Morris is an incredible singer songwriter, multi instrumentalist, and founding member of the band Spock's Beard, a progressive rock band that started in the 1990s and went on to present day. So definitely check out Neil's newest album. So next on the list of honorable mentions, we have Yes, Mirror to the Sky. Now this album, I did a review of this album, and it is a good album. Do not get me wrong. But Yes has always been a band in progressive rock that has had rotating members, and since the unfortunate passing of Chris Squire a few years ago, the band really has never been the same. This is probably the best album that they have done since Chris's untimely passing. And I do feel that Billy Sherwood is doing a killer job on bass guitar in Chris's stead. But the album itself is too long. And I came to that conclusion after listening to it numerous times over the past year. And it's good, but it's long. Also, for a band that has a history of a lot of keyboards, with the exception of the album Magnification, which utilized a full piece orchestra as well, in addition to the album Time and a Word, which was the band's second release back in the late 60s, which also used the orchestra. The difference being in Time and a Word, there was a keyboardist accompanying the orchestra. Magnification, however, had simply the orchestra playing the parts entirely that would have been played on keyboards. Um, Mirror to the Sky, similar to Time and the Word, has Jeff Downes playing keyboards, accompanied by an orchestra and the rest of the band. But you don't really hear enough of Jeff on this album. And that is my biggest gripe, because Jeff Downes is a fantastic keyboard player. And he really deserves to be heard, not just alluded to. And that's kind of what I feel happened with this album for me. It didn't have the entire Yes feel. It relied too much on the orchestral aspects and less on the dynamic of the band as a whole. The next recommendation of honorable mentions, Natalie Merchant, Keep Your Courage. And for those of you who do not know, Natalie Merchant is an incredible singer, songwriter, vocalist, uh, founding member of the band 10,000 Maniacs from the 1980s. An incredible soul artist in her own right. And this album surprised me and blew me away, and it really, really is a great album. And she is in top form. And I'm just, I can't say enough good things about Natalie Merchant and this album. So check this out too. And then our final honorable mention before we get to the top 10 is Pattern Seeking Animals with the album Spooky Action at a Distance. Now, Pattern Seeking Animals is comprised of some members of Spock's Beard, previously mentioned as Neil Morris's founding band, and um, it it's sort of an extension of Spock's Beard in that regard. Pattern Seeking Animals Spooky Action at a Distance it is an album that I recently obtained. I did a review on this as well, and you can find that in my videos. But this album, it it was really surprising how good this album was, and is. It really is diverse. It's dynamic in terms of the songwriting and the arrangements, and uh, it's just something that I think everyone needs to experience at least once, and if you like it, more than once, because I have it sitting beside me here on my stack of CDs that has yet to be Um, it's yet to be filed away, but I'll get to that after the holidays. But it is a great album. I do want to get the other three studio albums that the band has put out. I have not gotten them yet, but I've listened to them on Spotify, and I will be adding them to my collection as soon as humanly possible. So now we are on to the top 10 list of 2023 here on Media Awareness. What you have all been waiting for, I'm sure. So let us see here. At number 10, one of the surprise albums of 2023, for those of us who know who this artist is. Number 10, Trevor Rabin, Rio is the name of the album. Trevor Rabin came to prominence in the 1980s here in the States as being a member of Yes, and Trevor added a whole nother dimension to Yes, really making the band stand out from a more commercial standpoint, and actually giving the band their number one hit, Owner of a Lonely Heart. So Trevor is no stranger to the music industry. Trevor actually spent a lot of time with Yes. He was with Yes throughout the 1980s into the early 1990s. I actually saw them on tour in 1994 for the album Talk. And that would be Trevor's last tour, unfortunately, with Yes properly. And he went on from there to be a composer of famous music scores. Just type in his name, and you will see the abundance of soundtracks he has composed, which is mind boggling. But he has returned to the rock and roll genre with the album Rio. At number 9 on the top 10 media awareness list of 2023, we have Dokken, Heaven Comes Down. Dokken is in top form. Don Dokken is really um, staying within his vocal capabilities at this point in time, and the band is solid, and the songwriting is brilliant, very catchy. And what I love the most about this album, and I said this in my review of the album, but I'm going to reiterate it here for those of you who did not see that, and those of you who aren't going to necessarily view that. I think that heavy metal and hard rock bands and albums should sound somewhat on the um, how can I put this nicely? Somewhat on the dirty side. They should like not lyrically, musically. There should be a certain quality to the production that gives you this uh, real kind of you know nasty vibe to it that accompanies the music and the lyrics and the performances, and this album really encapsulates that feeling perfectly. So definitely, if you're into hard rock and heavy metal, and if you have not listened to Dokken in years, please do yourself a favor and check out Dokken Heaven Comes Down. Moving on to number 8 on the list, we have Flora Jansen with Paragon. Flora Jansen, for those of you unaware, is the current lead singer of the band Nightwish, who I'm sure many of you have heard of or know. And Uh, Paragon is an album that I can't stop listening to. It is so brilliant. It's not Nightwish. I will caution you. It is a uh, contemporary pop rock album, for lack of better words. It is not metal. It is contemporary pop rock, and Flora does an amazing job on this album, really belting out the vocals, really capturing the listener and transporting them along with her on this album. It is a superb album, and I urge you all to check it out. All of these albums are available to stream on Spotify, so do check them out when you can. Number 7 on the list is Peter Gabriel Io. Now, Io is an album that, if you're a Peter Gabriel fan, you have been following this album all year. And what I mean by that is every full moon cycle, Peter Gabriel released a new song. And for Io, that was an album that um, we received a song with each full moon. And we received two versions of each song, a bright side mix and a dark side mix. So you can get this in multiple formats. Um, but it's a long awaited album. Peter Gabriel has not put out any new studio music in over 20 years. And this is just a phenomenal album. There's not one bad song on this album. And it is coming in, as I said, at number 7. Number 6, Stephen Wilson, The Harmony Codex. Now, this album caught me off guard when it was announced as well, because Stephen Wilson, member of Porcupine Tree, the founding member of Porcupine Tree, had just finished touring with them, and I wasn't aware that he had been so actively working on something new. But we received the Harmony Codex in late September, and it's just a brilliant album. And I can't say enough good things about this album. Stephen Wilson, of course, is also a producer, a singer, songwriter, multi instrumentalist as well, and he has also collaborated with so many people. It's hard to keep track, and he has also remastered a good plethora of classic albums from classic bands. So he is definitely a renowned figure in rock and roll today. If you have not heard Steve Molson, check out the Harmony Codex. I definitely recommend you checking this out. All right, we are at the top 5 albums of 2023, and starting at the top 5, we have the Flower Kings. Look at You Now. And this album is an album that didn't rank as high on some other people's lists, I noticed. But I love the Flower Kings, and I love this album. I think it's really a catchy album for progressive rock album. The band is from Sweden. They sing in English. Um, all these are all in English, by the way, with the exception of one that I will notably let you know once I get to it. But uh, the Flower Kings um, are just a band that I've been following since the early 2000s. And I kind of stumbled across them accidentally, and I'm not regretful for doing so. I am extremely grateful that I accidentally discovered them, and I've been a fan ever since. So do yourself a favor, check out the Flower Kings, Look at You Now, and you will not be sorry with that album. Number 4 on the list, Nanette Tieb with the album I Got Up to Dance. And I'm going to put the title that it is listed under. It's listed on Spotify in the Hebrew title, and this album is entirely in Hebrew. That being said, some people that have seen my videos were kind enough to send me some translations of lyrics from this album, and multiple people, and I was just so grateful. You guys are all great, and this album blew me away from beginning to end. The net has just this incredibly soothing yet powerful voice, and it is just amazing. And she is amazing, and I am very pleased to have her on my top 10 list of 2023, um, and this album. So definitely check out Nanette Tiem. I Got Up to Dance, and like I said, the title, you'll see at the bottom here in Hebrew, and amazing, just totally amazing. So we are at number 3, and at number 3 we have the Winery Dogs with their third album entitled 3. And the Winery Dogs, for those of you uninitiated, consisted of Richie Kotzen on lead vocals and guitar, Billy Sheen on bass guitar, and the incredible Mike Portnoy on drums. And Mike has since rejoined Dream Theater, so there is a debatable question as to whether or not some of these other side projects will continue or if they are done. I hope they're not done. I love the Winery Dogs, and this was an incredible album. This is kind of tied with their first album in terms of probably what is my favorite. And this may have actually surpassed the first album in terms of what I consider my favorite work from the band. But yeah, check out the Winery Dogs 3. Alright, number 2 on the Media Awareness Top 10 list of 2023. Bruce Sword, Luminescence. Now, this album is a folk rock album. It's progressive in parts, and it's really an album that sort of is a transcendent album. It flows and it really keeps you uh, glued to the sonic landscape. Now, Bruce Sword, of course, for those of you who know, he is the lead vocalist and founding member of the band The Pineapple Thief. He is a multi instrumentalist, singer songwriter, and on this album, he really shows off his singer songwriter skills. There are some Pineapple Thief ish tropes in terms of lyrical phrasing, but this is definitely most certainly a solo album, and it is phenomenal. It's an album I haven't really been able to stop listening to since I got my hands on it, and it is just a work of art. So, like I said, that's coming in at number 2. And finally, Number one on the media awareness top 10 list of 2023. Riverside, the Polish progressive rock band, with their album Identity. This album, oh my god. When I got this album, I could not stop listening to it. I was glued to the singles that I heard. I was enamored. It's a really, this album is progressive rock, progressive metal. It's also very retro in a 1980s sense. Really kind of borrows a lot from the 80s landscape with synthesizers and some reggae thrown in there, some reggae riffs that are really, really catchy, and they really stand out for me at least. And this album is the album I haven't been able to stop playing all year. This is my most played album of the year, and it's also my favorite album of the year. And I really think you guys should check out this album. Uh, it is all over the musical landscape. There's something for everyone, and it mainly sticks to a uh, progressive yet pop rock feel. It does get heavier in parts, but not as heavy as one might think. And I think that the band is maturing, and therefore they're reaching this point in their career where they just want to be a good progressive rock band. And that's how this album comes off to me, as a good progressive rock album. So once again, that is Riverside Identity. And there you have the top 10 list of albums from 2023. Of course, I have not heard every album of this year. I did my best to compile the albums that really resonated with me, and I hope that some of these albums will be albums that you check out, and some of them will resonate with you in the same manner or in a different manner than they did with me. But hopefully, you enjoyed this top 10 list of 2023 on media awareness. I look forward to 2024 bringing you more album reviews, reaction videos, film reviews, TV series reviews, book reviews for that matter, um, everything and anything media related. I would love to bring you, and I intend to bring you in 2024. And if you'd like to see anything special, please put that in the comments or in a private message to me. In the description below, you can find a direct link to my Facebook. You can contact me there privately and discreetly. You can also find a link to my email address. You can email me, just put something with uh, regard to your topic of interest in the subject line. That way I know it pertains to my channel. And there's also the Amazon Media Awareness wish list, where you can pick and choose items for me to review, unbox, etc. And the Patreon link, which I have not really used, but it is there. If you'd like to become a Patreon member, feel free to explore that as well. But for right now, um, you have a good chunk of music there to hopefully check out if you have not already done so. And I hope that you enjoyed this top 10 countdown of 2023. Also, please don't forget that the fundraiser continues. I am far from reaching the target goal. So please do what you can if you haven't already. And to those who have, thank you again. You warm my heart. I mean that sincerely and truly. You guys are all wonderful. I love you all. Thank you so much. This is Rob with Media Awareness. I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are. Be safe. Have a safe New Year's and Happy New Year. Take care. Bye.